Hello, everybody, and welcome to this last video in the Bukowski Book Club, where we're gonna go over the last section of Roominghouse. Yeah. Let's find out what page we're gonna be on. Okay, so we're gonna start at page 203 in the Black Sparrow edition and go to the end of the book. So there is kind of a lot of poems there, but it's not crazy. We got this. We start with 9 rings on 203. Somebody always breaking my dainty solitude. Actually, pretty funny. I'm not going to read it. I have thank God for alleys marked on here. All right, so let's go. Hummingbird, make your mark, he said, and then something about an Arab and a son of a bitch, and I hit him in the mouth, and we fought in the snow for 10 minutes, spotting it with red blossoms. Breathing is a blade, and I kept thinking of astronauts up there circling the earth like a rowboat around a pond. All out of trouble and in trouble, and we finally stopped, or somebody or something stopped us, and we went into Harry's for a drink, and the place was empty, and Harry kept looking at us as if he hated us, and pretty soon we began to hate him, his money, his hate of us without as much money or as much hate. And my new friend threw his glass against Harry's mirror, and then he did hate us, and we ran down the alley, and the dogs barked, and the only essence that we left was remembering the last time I was asleep, and the earth obeyed everything. There you go. On page 211, we have a minor impulse to complain. Well, it's interesting what does go on and what doesn't go on that should, and the world's quite a sight, spun through spiders and webs that catch us half asleep and do us in before we're even old enough to know we're through. If it isn't a whore, it's a wife. If it isn't a wife, it's a jam over taxes, or bread, or liquor, or somebody's slipping it into her while you're down at the shop, sweating your nuggets to keep her in silk. Man. Or you're on horses or pot or crossword puzzles, or you're on vitamins or Beethoven, but you ought to see what goes on a 75-foot yacht. It would make you give up Liberty and little magazines and Tolstoy to see what beautiful young ladies can do to somebody else. And he doesn't even care, and he'll tell you, pouring a short shot, that bitch outscrew a rabbit. And unless you got money, by the time you got it figured out, you're either so old you're senseless, or you're so old you're dead. And there she stands by the rail, looking good, golden sun and real gold, the fish going by in the largest swimming pool in the world, and she even smiles at you as you go below to get more bottles and boots and to scrape the barnacles from the master. But you pig, he told me all you did, as men will do, which is another way of saying that you and I ain't living well or enough. So the next one here is called Buffalo Bill, and he reads this in, I can't remember if this is in 70 Minutes in Hell or the Terror Street thing. I don't remember. Buffalo Bill. Whenever the landlord and landlady get beer drunk, she comes down here and knocks on my door, and I go down and drink beer with them. They sing old-time songs, and he keeps drinking until he falls over backwards in his chair. Then I get up, tilt the chair up, and then he's back at the table again, grabbing at a beer can. The conversation always gets around to Buffalo Bill. They think Buffalo Bill is very funny. So I always ask, what's new with Buffalo Bill? Oh, he's in again. They locked him up. They came and got him. Why? Same thing, only this time it was a woman from the Jehovah's Witness. She rang his bell and was standing there talking to him, and he showed her his thing, you know? She came down and told me about it, and I asked her, "Why do you bother that man? Why do you ring his bell? He wasn't doing anything to you." But no, she had to go and tell the authorities. He phoned me from jail. "Well, I did it again." "Why do you keep doing that?" I asked him. "I don't know," he said. "I don't know what makes me do that." "You shouldn't do that," I told him. "I know I shouldn't do that," he told me. "How many times has he done that?" "Oh, God, I don't know, 8 or 10 times. He's always doing it. He's got a good lawyer, though. He's got a damn good lawyer." "Who'd you rent his place to?" "Oh, we don't rent his place. We always keep his place for him. We like him. Did I tell you about the night he was drunk and was out there on the lawn naked and an airplane went overhead and he pointed to the lights and all you can see was the tail lights and the stuff, and he pointed to the lights and yelled, 'I am God. I put those lights in the sky.'" "No, you didn't tell me about that." "Well, have a beer first and I'll tell you about it." I had a beer first. I apologize for the cut. It is getting very warm here. I am visited by an editor and a poet. I had just won 115 from the Head Shakers and was naked upon my bed, listening to an opera by one of the Italians, and had just gotten rid of a very loose lady when there was a knock upon the wood. And since the cops had just raided a month or so ago, I screamed out rather on edge, "Who the hell is it? What do you want, man?" "I'm your publisher," somebody screamed back. I hollered, "I don't have a publisher. Try the place next door." And he screamed back, "You're Charles Bukowski, aren't you?" And I got up and peeked through the iron grill just to make sure it wasn't a cop and placed a robe upon my nakedness, kicked a beer can out of the way and bade them enter. An editor and a poet. Only one would drink a beer, the editor, and so I drank 2 for the poet and 1 for myself. And they sat there sweating and watching me, and I sat there trying to explain that I wasn't really a poet in the ordinary sense. I told them about the stockyards and the slaughterhouse and the racetracks and the conditions of some of our jails. And the editor suddenly pulled 5 magazines out of a portfolio and tossed them between the beer cans. We talked about Flowers of Evil, Rimbaud, Villon, and what some of the modern poets looked like. J.B. May and Wolfe the Headley are very immaculate, clean fingernails, etc. I apologized for the beer cans, my beard, and everything on the floor, and pretty soon everybody was yawning. And the editor suddenly stood up and I said, "Are you leaving?" And the editor and the poet were walking out the door. And then I thought, well, hell, they might not have liked what they saw, but I'm not selling beer cans and Italian opera and torn stockings under my bed and dirty fingernails. I'm selling rhyme and life and line. And I walked over and cracked a new can of beer, and I looked at the 5 magazines with my name on the cover and wondered what it meant. Wondered if we are writing poetry or all huddling in one big tent clasping assholes. So that one's pretty good. I like that. And then this is the last one I have marked. I'm probably going to read 1 or 2 more, just flipping through. But I don't know why this is marked. I don't know. We'll find out. Monday Beach, cold day. Blue, white bird light. Nothing but the motor of sand, noticing bits of life. Eye and fleas and chips of wood, wind sounds, sounds of paper, caught with its life flapping. deserted dogs as content as rock, facing rump to sea, furred against sun and sensibility, snouting against dead crabs and last night's bottles, everything dirty, really, really dirty, like the back at a hotel, the white jackets and 15-cent tips, the old girls skipping rope, not like young neighborhood girls, but for room, bottle, and trinket. And the hotel sits behind you like grammar school and old wars, and you simply roll upon your stomach, skin against warm, dirty sand, and a dog comes up with his ice nose against the bottoms of your feet, and you howl angry laughter. Through hangover and 40-year-old kisses, through guilty sun and tired wave, through cheap memories that can never be transformed by either literature or love. And the dog pulls back, looking upon this stick of a white man with red coal eyes through filtered smoke, and he makes for the shore, the sea, and I get up and chase after him. Another hound I am, and he looks over a round shoulder, frightened, demolished, as our feet cut patterns of life, dog life, man life, lazy, indolent life, gull life, and running like the sharks out beyond the rocks, thrashing for our silly blood. That was actually, for him, even a very well thought out poem, a very well written poem. I'll read this one. It's called Thermometer. As my skin wrinkles in warning like paint on a burning wall, fruit flies with sterile orange-gray eyes stare at me while I dream of lavender ladies as impossible and beautiful as immortality. As my skin wrinkles in warning, I read the New York Times while spiders wrestle with ants and shaded roots of grass, and whores lift their hands to heaven for love, while the white mice huddle in controversy over a piece of cheese. As my skin wrinkles in warning, I think of Carthage and Rome and Berlin. I think of young girls crossing their nylon legs at bus stops. As my skin wrinkles in warning like paint on a burning wall, I get up from my chair to drink water on a pleasant afternoon, and I wonder about water. I wonder about me, a warm thermometer kind of wonderment that rises like a butterfly in a distilled pale yellow afternoon. And then I walk back out and sit on my chair and don't think anymore. As to the strain of broken ladders and old war movies, I let everything burn. After a poem that mentions butterflies, we have a poem called Eaten by Butterflies. That's the kind of thing that I'm like, Rrr. Maybe I'll win the Irish sweepstakes. Maybe I'll go nuts. Maybe unemployment insurance or a rich lesbian at the top of the hill. Maybe reincarnation as a frog or $70,000 found floating in a plastic sack in the bathtub. I need help. I am a fat man being eaten by green trees, butterflies, and you. Turn, light the lamp. My teeth ache, the teeth of my soul ache. I can't sleep. I pray for the dead streetcars, the white mice, engines on fire, blood on a green gown in an operating room in San Francisco, and I am caught, ow, wild, my body being there filled with nothing but me caught halfway between suicide and old age, hustling in factories next to the young boys, keeping pace, burning my blood like gasoline and making the foreman grin. My poems are only scratchings on the floor of a cage. Wow. And then the last poem here on page 256 is Destroying Beauty. A rose, red sunlight, I take it apart in the garage like a puzzle. The petals are as greasy as old bacon and fall like the maidens of the old world, backs to the floor, and I look up at the old calendar hung from a nail and touch my wrinkled face and smile because the secret is beyond me. And that, finally, is the Roominghouse Madrigals. What would that be? 4 cities, 3 houses, 4 houses. Shit. Northern California, Southern California, the city, the desert, the bay. Took me in the beach. It took me a very long time to fucking read this book with you guys. So that is the Bukowski Book Club, Roominghouse Madrigals. And the next time we do this, it'll be next week. We start Septuagenarian Stew, Stories and Poems, by Charles Bukowski. This is the book that he wrote after he turned 70. So there's just a few more books of his that we're going to be doing that are before his death. So after this one, I don't know if this goes that far. Let's see, before I just start saying things. Oh, this is like the first, oh wait, no, here we go. So after this, we're going to do the Last Night of Earth poems. Yeah, so that will be all the books before his death. Then we will do 2 posthumous books, okay? Betting on the Muse and Bone Palace Ballet. Those books are still very close to his own writing, okay? And so for those of you who don't remember how we were doing the Bukowski Book Club, after that we're going to do a poll and see if you guys want to do the novels, if you want to do the short story collections that Black Sparrow put out, if you want to do the short story collections that City Lights put out, if you want to do the essay collections that City Lights put out, if you want to do the Abel DeBrito poems and talk about those. I would like to hold off on the posthumous stuff that John Martin edited, just because there is a lot of research I'm going to have to do, and at the moment right now I do not have the time to do that, or I don't have a team to help me comb through all of the bad edits and original content. You know what I'm saying? We could also do the Back of the Machine Gun books, the ones that were taken from his actual writings, I think, that are located at the University of Santa Barbara. So there's many things we could do. We could even do his letters if you want to do some putting things together on his letters. That would be kind of a fun thing to do as well. So anyway, so we have 4 more books. So technically that should be about 4 months worth of stuff before we have to decide. So 1, 2, 3. So there's going to be about, and we might want to skip the stories and just stick to the poems in here. That's up for debate. We'll talk about that more. I'll do a poll on the channel here. I'm going to be doing a episode of the Bukowski podcast with poet and friend of the channel, Ethan McGuire, who has a new book out called Apocalypse Dance. So check that out when you get a second. We're going to be going over poems and insults. So that will be recorded sometime this week or next week. And early next week, we will start the introduction to Septuagenarian Stew. Or we might just get into it. I don't know how much information there is going to be on that stuff since I don't have all of my books here with me. So that's what's going on. Another thing to keep in mind, June 28th and 29th is the official launch in the big summer sale at my new website and store, mattwallart.com. Over that weekend, you will get 40% off of all my chapbooks, limited edition chapbooks, and one-of-a-kind original paintings. And if you're a member of the channel, Anarchy Crew members, you get 50% off, and you also get a free day on Friday, the 27th, to come in and get what the hell you want before all those normies go get it. So keep that in mind. And if there's stuff that you really want now and you don't want to miss out and lose it, just go to mattwallart.com now and you can pick that stuff up. There's even a couple free ebooks on there that you could get. So go over there, take a look at it, and it'll be good fun for you. Okay? So until next time, everybody, type hard, and I will talk to you all later.